The desert sun blazed overhead when Marcus "Tank" Rodriguez thundered into Copper Valley on his Harley, 10 brothers of the Steel Riders roaring behind him. Tank wasn't looking for trouble, just decent coffee and maybe a slice of whatever pie they were serving at Rosie's Cafe. The cafe clung to Main Street like it had grown there. Chrome counter, faded booths, the smell of fresh coffee cutting through the heat. When 11 bikers walked in, boots echoing on cracked linoleum, the place went silent. Forks froze. Conversations died. Tank was used to it. 52 years old, arms sleeved in tattoos, salt and pepper beard to his collarbone. He knew what people saw. What they didn't see was the 2 decades he'd spent as an ER nurse, the daughter he'd raised alone, the stuffed animals he carried for frightened kids they met on the road. The waitress approached with menus, mid-20s, dark hair in a messy bun, brown eyes that should have been warm but looked haunted instead. Her name tag read, Emma. "Morning," she said, voice steady despite trembling hands. "Coffee?" "Please, darling," Tank said gently. "Take your time, we're not in a rush." That's when he saw it. Purple-yellow bruise along her cheekbone, badly hidden under makeup. When she reached for the coffee pot, her sleeve slipped. Dark fingerprints circled her wrist like violent jewelry. Tank's jaw clenched. Not yet. Emma moved through her shift with practiced efficiency, smiling at customers, refilling cups. But Tank watched her flinch at every door chime, her eyes constantly checking the parking lot. When she brought their plates, Tank caught her hand, soft as a whisper. "Miss, you look like you took a hard fall. You doing okay?" Emma went white, then crimson. She jerked back. "I'm fine, just clumsy." "Doors don't leave fingerprints," Tank said quietly. "I was a nurse 20 years. I know the difference." Tears filled her eyes. "Please, I need this job. My boss gets here at 9, and if he sees me talking to you—" "Your boss did this?" one of the writers growled. Her silence answered everything. "What's his name?" "Derek Morrison," she whispered. "His father owns half this town. The police chief is his cousin. I tried reporting it once. It only got worse. I'm saving to leave, but I have nowhere to go." Tank looked at his brothers. 35 years riding together. 35 years protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. They'd raised money for burn units, escorted abuse survivors to shelters, stood between predators and prey more times than he could count. "When's Derek usually here?" 9 o'clock, to count receipts." Tank checked his watch. 7:45. "Then we'll enjoy a nice, slow breakfast." He met Emma's terrified eyes. "Nobody's going to hurt you again. Not today. Just do your work. Let us handle this." The next hour crawled. The Steel Riders ordered more coffee, more pie, spreading across the counter and booths. Other customers came and went, shooting, nervous glances at the leather-clad men, but nobody spoke. At 8:58, a black SUV pulled up. The man who climbed out was tall, lean, designer sunglasses, moving like someone who'd never faced consequences. "That's him," Emma breathed. Derek Morrison shoved through the door. "Emma, where's my morning count? And whose bikes?" He stopped. 11 riders watched him with eyes that had seen the world's ugliest truths. "Can I help you?" Derek said, forcing confidence into his voice. Tank stood slowly, 6'5", broad as a truck. When he moved toward Derek, the younger man stepped back. "Just having breakfast," Tank said conversationally. "Your waitress has been wonderful. Professional. Must be tough working with injuries like that, though." He gestured at Emma. Derek's face flushed dark. "That's none of your business. Emma, get in back. Now." "I don't think so," Tank said, voice dropping to ice. "Emma's staying where we can see her, And you and I are having a conversation about how men treat people. You don't know who you're messing with. My family. Tank cut him off, gesturing at the riders. Covers 15,000 miles a year helping people who need it. We work with shelters in 40 states. We know lawyers, judges, and enough good cops to make your life very complicated. He stepped closer. Derek backed into a table. Here's what happens next. You give Emma her final check plus 8 weeks severance. You write her a recommendation so good she could work anywhere, and you never contact her again. Not a call, not a text, not driving past her house. Nothing. And if I don't? We make phone calls, Tank said softly. We're pretty good with social media for old bikers. Pictures go viral, reputations crumble, family businesses suffer. You following me? Derek looked around. Every customer watched. Mrs. Chen from the post office, old Bob from the hardware store. People who'd known him his whole life. People who'd watched him bully his way through Copper Valley for years. In their eyes, he saw belief. They were on Emma's side. Fine, he muttered. Just get out. Soon as you write that check. 10 minutes later, Emma stood outside holding an envelope, crying different tears. I can't believe you did that. Nobody's ever... Everyone deserves someone in their corner, Tank said. Now you've got a choice. Stay here or ride with us to Phoenix. We know a woman who runs a diner there. Good woman, fair wages, fresh start. Emma looked back at the cafe, then at these rough men with scars and ink who'd shown her more kindness in 2 hours than she'd known in 2 years. I'll need to pack. We'll wait. 3 months later, Tank got a letter from Phoenix. Inside was a photo. Emma in a clean apron, genuine smile, bruises gone, fear replaced with hope. Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for reminding me kindness still exists. I'm taking night classes now. For the first time in years, I can see a future. You changed my life. Tank pinned the photo in his garage next to dozens of others, faces they'd helped over the years, each one a reminder that the scariest-looking people sometimes have the biggest hearts. That real strength isn't about how hard you hit, but using your power to protect those who can't protect themselves. That evening, Tank fired up his Harley. Tomorrow, they'd ride again. More roads to travel, more people needing someone to stand up for them. He thought about Emma's new beginning, about Derek Morrison, who'd quietly left town after word spread, about how one moment of courage ripples outward in ways you'll never fully know. Tank smiled beneath his beard, kicked his bike into gear, and rode into the golden light. Sometimes the best thing you can do is simply notice when someone's hurting and choose to care. Because beneath the leather and chrome and rumbling engines, that's what the Steel Riders were really about. Not the bikes or open road freedom, though those mattered. It was about family, about standing together, about seeing injustice and refusing to look away. And in a world that could feel cold and cruel, that was everything.